Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all good. So a lot of you will have seen that our second renovation project is finally finished. I'll leave links to everything down below just in case you haven't seen it. But I thought today I'd come and just talk about some of the key lessons learned while we went through this renovation. So I'm going to talk about all the good things, the bad things, and just everything. All in all, the renovation did go well, but obviously there was things that we made mistakes with and things that we're obviously going to improve on and do better next time. So yeah. Okay, so the first thing I'd say, and we kind of learnt this from our first renovation project, I will say that I feel like you never know the true condition of a property until you strip it back to brick. So when we did the strip out, the one that I vlogged on my channel, we took off the wallpaper and we did take down a few walls and a few ceilings, but when it went back to brick, that was when the nasty surprises started showing up. So certain areas, so say for example like over the windows, we were finding that they were going to need a lot of reinforcement because there was no support for the windows. So basically they didn't have like lintels. So a lintel is basically a beam that will go on like an opening of a wall. So like where you're going to put like a window or a door, you'll have like lintels there to support the window and the door, because obviously if you didn't do that, then you'd have like the whole weight of the bricks just like laying on the window. Whereas if you have the concrete lintel or whatever, then that's going to stop so much pressure being on like the window or the door. I'll try and insert like a little picture or something like that so you can see. But yeah, basically we didn't have those. The windows were literally just being like supported by a few bricks, and obviously that was really dangerous. And because we didn't have that support like where the windows were and things like that, that was causing like a lot of the cracks that there were throughout the property. So yeah, obviously this is something that we didn't know until we took it back to brick, and then we realized like, oh, we need more support here. So yeah, the property was definitely in a worse condition than we thought. And what this has really taught us, and what we're going to be doing going forward for our other projects, is not setting the final budget until we've done the strip out. So this is actually mentioned in one of mine and Mom's favourite property books, and it's called Commercial to Residential Conversions by Mark Homer and Glenn Delve. The book is absolutely amazing, and if you want to get into commercial to residential developments, then I highly recommend that book. I can't recommend it enough. And Mark Homer as well, he's got a really good podcast and he gives so much information. But anyway, they actually mentioned in that book about how they don't set like the final budget until they've done the strip out, because you never know what you're going to find behind the walls. So what we're going to start doing going forward is doing like an estimate with our builder, and then we'll do like the strip out and everything like that, and then we'll do like the final budget of like, okay, this is how much it's going to cost. So yeah, it was definitely in a lot worse condition than we thought, especially the ground floor. Oh my god, that ground floor. So basically while we were doing the renovations, we were working from the top to bottom, and we thought we were pretty much on schedule until we got to that ground floor. That ground floor was an absolute state, and again, it's one of those things where we didn't know the state it was in until we like fully stripped it back. So if you saw the renovation vlogs, then you'll know that the wall that was separating like bedroom number 1 and bedroom number 2 literally fell down mid-renovation. Like they were like taking it back, and then literally the wall just fell down. I mean, like what the hell? Like there was nowhere in the budget or in the time schedule to account for the fact that a wall might fall down unexpectedly. So things like that are obviously a complete flipping nightmare, because you know we had to then rebuild the wall. So yeah, we don't know if it's because it was like on the ground floor, so it was like taking more weight than the other floors or whatever. We honestly don't know, but we kind of should have known that the ground floor was going to be in a bad condition, because the bricks that were on the upper floors, they were also very crumbly. So I feel like we should have been prepared for the ground floor to be in a bad condition, but obviously, I mean, who could have expected that a wall would just fall down? But yeah, our builder just said that the bricks were really old and they were really porous, so they were letting like a lot of moisture and water in basically, so they were just crumbling away. And also as well, there was a lot of like rotting beams downstairs, which obviously they need treating and things like that. So yeah, the ground floor was just an absolute shambles. And it's like really weird as well, because in the renovation series vlog, like obviously you saw the kitchen and the 2 bedrooms first, but those were like literally the last things to be done. Like the transformation of those rooms literally happened right at the end, and like the upper bedrooms, we finished them ages ago. It was literally just the ground floor that we were waiting on, and then it was like all falling apart. So yeah. Also, sorry if the lighting keeps going in and out. I accidentally broke one of my lights, so yeah. Okay, so another thing that we learned on this project is when you need to change a certain service, there is going to be long lead times. So I think this was longer as well because we brought a commercial properties. So when you brought a property that was previously being used as a business, then that can complicate things. And I think the reason it gets more complicated is because there is a wider range of suppliers with it being a business. So say for example with Severn Trent, if you've got it under like a business account, then that's going to be billed under Water Plus, even though it's like still Severn Trent, but they bill it under Water Plus, but it's like a whole completely separate thing. So for them to change things like that, it literally takes so long. So it's something to bear in mind, especially if you do commercial to residential developments. So yeah, that has definitely really dragged things out. And the other thing that doesn't help is that we actually changed the address of the property, because if you've seen the renovation vlogs, then you'll know that bedroom number 1 and 2 have got their own entrance, but that entrance is basically the front of the property where the posts used to be delivered. So we changed it to the back of the property where like the main entrance is through the kitchen. So because of that, obviously things got a little bit more complicated. Obviously if we knew changing the address was going to cause such a drama, then we would have let them know before, but yeah, we didn't really think it was a big deal. But yeah, definitely don't underestimate the time it's going to take if you need like a meter move in, if you need a new supply put in, because all of these things can take a long time. Obviously as well, we have been doing it like during a pandemic, so that could have slowed things down as well, but yeah, I think they still generally do take a long time. So yeah, in our case at the property, for the electrics, we've only got like a single phase supply, which isn't going to be enough for like all of our tenants and all of the electrics. So yeah, we are actually in the process of getting a 3-phase supply put in so that everything worked perfectly, but honestly, it is taking so long. So if you are doing like a commercial to residential project and you're like, oh, it's only going to take 6 weeks to be done, you need to be on the utilities straight away. Like just get on it straight away, because it can take like so long. To be honest, we should have checked with the vendors to see if they were using a 3-phase supply. We kind of just assumed because they were running it as like an office that they would have like, you know, the best. But yeah, it is all very long, very drawn out, because you have to coordinate so many people as well, like the distribution company, the suppliers, the people who actually fit the meters. So it's just a lot, you know, it's a lot. Right, so building control. So basically, before we started the work, we sent over to building control like all of the floor plans and everything like that, and we basically explained everything that we were going to do, so they had like a full understanding. And building control were completely fine. They were like, we don't see any issues or anything like that, like go for it. Then we did the strip out, and obviously we're getting ready to do like all of the stud work and things like that, and then that's when we got building control to come out on their first visit, because then they can really see everything once it's kind of like all taken away, if that makes sense. So he did the first visit, and all of a sudden he says to us that we need something called a protected lobby, and we were like, why didn't you mention this before? I'll try and insert some more videos so it's more clear, but basically the protected lobby is there so that there's 2 doors in between the bedrooms and the stairwell. So basically if there was ever a fire, then that would like minimise the amount of smoke that was getting to the bedrooms and things like that. But literally they'd never said anything about this before, and we were like, didn't we just send you the floor plans of like what we were going to do? Like, why didn't you think to say anything then? Like, what the hell? But that protected lobby literally ended up costing us like an extra 5 grand and like an extra 2 weeks worth of time. Yeah, rude. So yeah, then we obviously added the protected lobby to the plans, because, you know, if building control have said to do it, then you do it. And then the same guy from building control basically came back for his second visit to basically make sure that the plans we had for the protected lobby were now fine. And then literally all of a sudden he was like, okay, for the soundproofing you need to do this, and we were like, you never said this before, like where's this come from? Like, so it's like he never said it when we sent the plans over and they said they were all okay, and then he never said it when he said that we needed the protected lobby. So we were just like, what the hell? Like, why do you keep adding things on? Like, we've already started the work, we're already doing the work, and you keep saying that we need this, that and the other. It's like, help, like what the hell? And then even on his like second to last visit, bearing in mind the property is pretty much done, he was like, oh, you needed another protected lobby in between the kitchen and the stairwell. And we were like, you never said that before. Like, you really, nah, like we've come to the end and now you're going to tell us that we need another thing. Like, no. And he was like, yeah, I sent it in an email. We read through the whole chain. He never sent it. Like, he was just, yeah. And then we had the fire regs guy come out to make sure that everything was okay, and they're like completely separate to building control. And the fire regs guy were like, no, this is like OTT, like he's told you to do too much basically. And we were like, what the hell? So yeah, he's basically saying with the protected lobby, like we didn't need it, and we were just like, nah. It's just so annoying. And then as well, it was the same when we had the sound engineer guy come out. He said that like building control had like made us go to OTT for an 8-bed HMO. So the fire regulation guy, he was actually really, really nice. And he basically said for the next project, get him out before you get building control, then he can tell you like exactly everything that you need to do so that it is safe for fire regs. And then as well, if building control come and they say like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that, then the fire regs guy can actually argue it on our behalf for us. Because obviously, say with like the protected lobby, it's like, how can we argue back with building control, if that makes sense? Because it's like, well, you're the ones who are supposed to know exactly what goes on. But if we had the fire regs guy, then he would have been able to say, actually, they don't really need a protected lobby, like that's going too far. So yeah, and it's exactly the same with the sound engineer. Like if we just have them in before, then they can just argue with building control for us. Also, that isn't like a reflection of building control as a whole, or even that building control company, because so the building control guy that came out in the first place, he's actually left the company now. I was like, yeah, I bet he has. So he's left the company now. And then we had a new guy come in from the same company, and he was like, wow, like he's actually made you do like so much. So we just got unlucky, basically. So yeah, I definitely say if you're doing a HMO of 7 bedrooms or more, get fire regulations out, get noise regulations out before you get building control out, because otherwise you're just at the mercy of building control, and whoever you end up getting, they might just throw in some random things that you don't need to do. So yeah. Okay, so there were some things that just weren't in the budget, and I think it's because we didn't actually know how much it was going to cost, because we've gone from like a 5 to an 8 bed, so I feel like we didn't factor in like the extra cost of these things. So yeah, I definitely say when you're moving up a level, bear in mind that things will probably be a little bit more costly, and you need to factor that in, do your homework, and make sure you know what's up from the start. So the things that weren't in budget were the fire alarm system and the noise reduction as well. I think we got off okay in the end with how much we paid for these things, but like for the fire alarm system, some of the quotes they were sending us were coming in wild. They were coming in at like 4 to 5 grand. And then the noise reduction was also quite costly, but we managed to get a decent deal. But yeah, we had to pay for things like acoustic plasterboard, acoustic insulation, and then like sound bars as well. So it's all costly, but yeah, you live and learn. Okay, so managing trades. I did mention this in another video, the story about the tiler. So basically we ended up getting this absolute waste man tiler from Facebook, and I mean, what good ever comes from Facebook, let's be honest. And I feel like sometimes you'll know people don't know what they're doing based on the level of conversation they're having with you. So either they're going to throw in a lot of technical jargon to try and confuse you and make them sound smarter than they actually are, or they'll be asking basic level questions. So I think it was like a day or two before he was due to start, he was asking us if we had any spacers, and he was asking us what size of spacer we needed, and I was like, are we the tilers? How are we meant to know the size that we need? Isn't that your job? And the guy who did the tiling in our first renovation, his work is absolutely immaculate, like perfect, absolutely perfect. And he never asked us any of that, so we were just like a bit suspicious, like, do you know what you're doing? I'm confused. So yeah, that was definitely the first big red flag. And basically, to cut a long story short, it turns out he wasn't a tiler, he was just a flipping clown.
A clown? He's a clown? Why didn't I see it before?
So this guy that we literally found on Facebook literally just took his like brother's tools and was like, yeah, I'm a tiler, I can do the work for you. And we're like, what the hell? Like, what the actual hell? And I think we only knew that he wasn't actually a tiler because I think our electrician like knows his brother and like knows the family, and he was like, nah, his brother's the tiler. And we were like, what is this? Like, what the actual hell? So yeah, obviously once he started the tiling, the work was just shoddy. Like, the work was just shoddy, and yeah. But then as well, not only that, we had him in just before lockdown, and at this point obviously Bojo's telling us not to be really like, you know, going out too much, not mixing with other people and that. Why is he there bringing his mates? Like, he's bringing like 3-4 different friends, and it's like, you don't need to be there if you're not going to be tiling the bathrooms. Like, what are you doing? Just get out. So he was just annoying everybody, and his work was crap, and yeah, lesson learned. In the end, we actually ended up getting our original tiler back who did the first renovation, and he literally had to drive 45 minutes every day just to get to the property, but the tiles are perfect, so So yeah, that was the drama with the tiler, but then we did have another issue with one of our other tradesmen. So he was literally working to his own schedule, like things weren't being done in the order they needed to be done. He'd just kind of like do what he wanted when he felt like it, which obviously if you're project managing, it's like you need to know what people are going to do and when they're going to do it. And then as well, it was just annoying everybody else because it would be holding up like our builder because he'd want to do something but he couldn't because this thing hadn't been done in the right order or something like that. So everybody was just livid. If I'm honest, they were absolutely livid. So we thought, why don't we get another trades guy in who can do the same thing to kind of help out, get back on schedule and just like help out with like the work that needed doing. And that was a flipping shambles. So then the original trade ended up getting really awkward and he would he definitely did sabotage the new trade. I know, dramatic, what the hell is this, reality TV? But yeah, he literally sabotaged the other trade, but it's like, by sabotaging the other trade, you've actually sabotaged the whole team. So like, that would cost us like money, it cost us time, it was just a flipping nightmare. I guess, to be honest, the thing is, if they're already being awkward with you, what makes you think they're going to be less awkward when you get someone else in who's going to do the same thing as them? Like, what makes you think they're going to be like, oh, like, let me just do it all now? They just continue to be awkward. So yeah, if that ever ends up happening again, it's just going to be a case of having a conversation and saying, can you commit to doing this by this exact day? If not, then you're off the job, or they are just going to have to be off the job, period. But yeah, it can be really difficult with electricians and plumbers because once they've done that first fix, they're the only ones that know the runs and they know where things go and things like that. So yeah, it puts you in a really awkward predicament because they're the only ones who know the wiring and the plumbing. So yeah. But yeah, I think if you see them slacking during the first fix, then you really need to evaluate whether they're going to be the right person for the job because yeah, it's too much. But yeah, I think it is just really about getting them to commit to deadlines and like if they say they're going to do something, making sure they've done it. So yeah. Okay, so we did actually end up having a couple of leaks the weekend before the tenants moved in and then one after the tenants had moved in, which was just great. But basically, when the radiator system is getting filled with water, that's when you get to see if there's any issues, like is there any loose valves, any issue with the pressure, anything like that. And there was a little leak that our main builder had spotted and then sorted it out, mopped it up, amazing. Then our main builder left and then left the other guys to do it. They filled the system and in bedroom number 7 there was a massive leak and it was going down into bedroom number 4, which, oh yeah, it was just an absolute pain. There was just water everywhere. Our decorator was actually the one who noticed it. So yeah, that was definitely a lesson learned that if you're doing anything like that, then people need to be on watch and making sure that there's no leaks coming from anywhere because obviously leaks are so damaging to the property. Like, they ruin the paint, they can ruin the floors, just yeah. So people need to be on watch. Then after that leak, our cleaner had noticed that the hot and cold taps had been like plumbed the wrong way. So then we let our builder know and he was like, okay, this is in the basement, let me go and fix it. So then our builder switched off the water, fixed the issue, and then upstairs, I don't know if someone turned a tap on full blast or flushed the toilet or whatever, but basically what ended up happening was there was a pipe that hadn't been pushed together tightly enough between the floor and the ceiling, and then the pipe had ended up coming loose and literally the water was flooding the kitchen. It was literally like Niagara Falls, the way the water was coming down. It was coming through the ceiling, it was coming through the light fittings, it was coming through the light switches. It was an absolute madness, an absolute madness. And this is once the tenants had moved in, and we actually had a viewing as well while the kitchen was leaking, and it was just like, what the hell? What in the hell? So that was the big leak, but obviously everything was okay in the end. Once it had dried out, the tenants still chose to take a room, so it was all good, but drama. Okay, so this is actually more to do with purchasing the property, but I thought I may as well mention it here as well. I did do a full story time on it. If you want to check it out, I'll leave it linked down below. And the thing that we learned is valuers do not change their mind. So basically we'd agreed to purchase the property for 125 grand, and then when they did the valuation, it come in at 100 grand, and we were like, what the actual hell, 100 grand. But yeah, I don't know what comparables he was using in the area, but whatever they were wrong. So then we sent him through some better comparables because apparently he'd struggled to find comparables. Some of the comparables that we were sending were on sales that had only just gone through, so I don't know if they'd been like fully registered yet, so I don't know if that's why he couldn't find them, but we could find them on this other website called Net House Price, so we could see how much they sold for, and we were like, look, this is what they sold for. Once we sent over the comparables, then he agreed with us that that the valuation should be 125, and he was using things like Brexit as like a reason to give it a down valuation, because this is back when Brexit was a thing and people cared about it. So yeah, and to be honest, to get him to even consider reevaluating the property took so long. Like, that is part of the reason why it took so long to complete, because it was just taking absolutely ages for him to even consider the fact that the property might be worth a little bit more. And to be honest, the main reason that he said he would do a reevaluation is because we did say we were going to complain to Ricks, because we were like, this is out of order. But after we went through that whole drama of trying to get him to reevaluate the property, the Bridger wouldn't accept the fact that the valuation was now higher. So the Bridger were just like, no, you said it was 100, so it's 100. So we were like, what in the hell? But yeah, that was an absolute nightmare. But then we found an investor, so then we purchased the property. But yeah, the lesson is, make sure you get a good experienced valuer, and preferably as well a local valuer who knows the area a little bit better, and also someone who's going to be experienced in the type of property that you want to purchase, so hopefully you don't run into any drama. Okay, so things that went well. So working floor by floor definitely really worked for us, apart from like the shock of the ground floor. But yeah, generally working floor by floor worked really well for us, because we were able to get the top 2 floors finished. And when I say finished, I mean dressed, finished, cleaned, everything. We got them finished, and then we were able to have the professional photos taken. But yeah, the property's actually already fully tenanted, even though we only finished it like a couple weeks ago. But it's because we've been able to advertise it for so much longer. So people would turn up to viewings, and it's like, yeah, okay, the downstairs is a complete building site, but obviously you can see the vibe that we're going to go for. You can see the quality of the rooms upstairs, so that definitely really worked. And yeah, also we're really glad that we stockpiled materials. So we stockpiled a little bit of plaster and some plasterboard as well, because we knew that these building merchants were going to close down, so we wanted to be able to continue with the work. And even though it did make the place a little bit messier, because there'd be like plasterboard over here, plaster over there, and whatever, things like that, it was obviously better to have it there and in the way than to not have it at all, because Lord knows there was a whole heap of drama with plaster. So I mentioned this in my last video, but Plastergate. Basically what ended up happening is the people who manufacture plaster stopped manufacturing it. So all of the plaster that was in stock and in stores was going to be the last of the plaster for a while. And basically what people would be doing was they would buy the plaster for like £7 a bag and then put it on eBay for £30. Like, it was an absolute madness. So getting plaster was so hard and so difficult. And then once they started manufacturing the plaster again, literally it would come into store and the plaster would be gone within like 5 minutes. Like, literally just gone. Like, there'd just be nothing there. It was honestly crazy. But yeah, there's definitely been a shortage in materials. Apparently the next thing that there's a shortage of is decking. So yeah, obviously we've got a full decking area at the property, and we just needed like literally one more piece of decking, and the guy was like, there's just barely anything left. He was like, you've probably had the last piece of decking through the whole town. And we were like, what the hell? Like, how's it gone from plaster to decking? I'm like, what's going to be next? What is going to be next? So yeah. But even like with the plaster, it's really crazy, because plaster went out of stock like 3 to 4 weeks into lockdown, because plaster has a sell by date as well. So if you don't use it, then it's going to go off. So that went out of stock in like, what, it must have been like April or something like that. And it's only until now that things have gone back to normal with the plaster. Like, how is it only until now? So drama. But yeah, what really worked for us for getting the items that were hard to get hold of was getting pally with the managers. So we got really close. So we made friends with the manager at Wickes in Handsworth, and then we also made friends with another manager at B&Q. I don't know why I'm saying friends. Like, why am I saying friends? But yeah, we got a bit pally with them. So anytime they'd have a delivery, they'd literally just call us up and they'd be like, we've got the stuff, come in, get it, stick it in your boot, you're done. Because as well, they could see that we genuinely had a project going on, so they knew we weren't just going to come buy the stuff, stick it on eBay and cash in. So yeah, they actually genuinely wanted to help us out. One thing that we ended up doing better in this renovation than we did from the first one was actually the schedule for the bathrooms. So we were actually almost late with our last renovation because we didn't really schedule in enough time for the bathrooms, because with all of the tiling and things like that and fitting everything, it is a very lengthy process. So this time we were literally just on it. Like, we just knew that the bathrooms had to be factored in, because I think they take longer than you would think, especially with tiling. Like, that does take so long. So yeah, we defo factored it in better. And obviously we had 8 bathrooms, so it was a lot. So we just managed the schedule a lot better now, so yeah. And then also I'm really glad that we chose to do like that decking area. We have actually painted it grey now. I'll see if I can get a video of it today because I'm going there again. But yeah, I'll see if I can get a video of it. But I'm just so glad that we did that little area that's got like the little plants and the little seats there. I feel like it's just like such a nice vibe. It kind of has like a pub feel, which I kind of really like. So yeah, I'm just glad that we did it, and the tenants are loving it. They're all really cool, really get on with them, so it's all good so far. But obviously I'll let you guys know how things go, if I've got any exciting updates or anything like that. But yeah, so guys, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it as always. Hopefully you've learned from these lessons and you'll learn from my mistakes and then you'll do better. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up, but I'll see you next time. Bye. So yeah, the property was definitely in a worse condition than we thought. I don't know why I'm laughing, it's not funny.